WRBI Batesville, Greensburg, Versailles, Brookville now presents Southeastern Indiana's longest running and most listened to sports show. It's Coach's Corner, broadcasting live from the Coach Raver Corner at Ison's Family Pizza. Listen on 103.9 FM or the WRBI app. And now you can watch the show happen live too at WRBI-TV.com or on our Facebook page. Here is the host of Coach's Corner, Coach Rob LaFerry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from the Coach Ron Raver Corner of Ison's Family Pizza for tonight's edition of Coach's Corner, brought to you by Ison's Family Pizza here on WRBI. I'm your guest host, Rob Moorhead, filling in for Rob LaFerry, who's coaching a junior high basketball game again this evening. We have a fantastic hour lined up for you tonight. We'll kick things off in just a moment with Batesville High School boys head basketball coach Aaron Garrett. Following Coach Garrett, we'll be joined by the head coach of the regional champion Milan Indians football team. Ryan Langferman will join us. We'll stick to the Milan theme just after the bottom of the hours. We'll be joined by the head boys basketball coach of the Milan Indians. That's Matt Pickerel. And following Matt Pickerel, we'll wrap up the show with South Ripley boys basketball head coach Sevy Beach. But to kick things off this evening, we welcome back the head coach of the Batesville boys basketball program, Aaron Garrett. Coach Garrett, thanks again for making the trip over to Ison's Family Pizza tonight.
Always a pleasure, and as hearing that Coach Langferman's going to be on, I always follow him. I think he does tremendous things, and how he balances being an administrator but also impacting youth as a football coach is just awesome. So it was just awesome to see his success, and it's hard-earned. I know how much time he puts into it, so just so happy for him and the Milan community.
Well stated, Coach. Well, Coach, let me start with, we're 3 for 3 here. I've guest hosted the show 3 times. You've been a guest all 3 times. I appreciate you not running from the guest host and making sure, even though I'm going to be here, that you still show up. So I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. I want to start with something not basketball related, but I saw that you participated in a community run on Thursday morning of Thanksgiving. Talk about that.
Beat a couple of my 8th graders who were trying to challenge me, so that's always fun. But no, our Southeastern Indiana YMCA, they do great things, and Tara Britton organizes a turkey trot. So it's a Thanksgiving 5K or 10K. Not going to lie, Coach Moorhead, I contemplated, and if it had been raining, I'd have probably been out. But it was cold. But I didn't get a chance to ask Tara, but there had to be well over 100 people there just braving the conditions, and all age groups. That's what I always like to see, too. I had Molly Walter run with me, she's a 5th grader, right? So seeing the kids that age and younger, but also people even older than I am, we're out there running and just starting the Thanksgiving day. And I know I'm always, even though it was cold, I don't like running. People think I like running. I don't like running. I like what it does for me up here, but I'm always thankful I have the ability to run because so many people, their health span doesn't allow it. So always thankful in that regard.
I always appreciate your slogan, exercise today, somehow, some way.
Indeed.
Rise and shine or rise and wine, Coach. And you guys rose up on Saturday night to get the season started. A big 95-73 victory over Jacksonville. Apparently the Dogs can get up and down the floor this year. Talk a little bit about that ball game.
Yeah, and that's been our focus as we've transitioned the last couple of years, and just knowing what we had coming back, we really started to implement this summer. And even, obviously, that game was the most important. This season's the most important because I have 4 seniors. It's their last trip through Batesville basketball. But as I implemented and thought through some different changes schematically, obviously I take a look through the program. And some of our JV guys, our freshman guys, even our middle school guys, the 8th grade group seems like it's going to be a group that can definitely play this style and it'll best fit them. And throughout the program, I would say we're guard and wing oriented. Now we do have some bigger guys coming, but they're pretty agile as well. But it definitely fit this group. So, and you know this as a coach, every year you're putting a different puzzle together, right? Even with some of the same guys. We graduated one guy, big piece, but our pieces, even the guys that are returning this year, are different than the guys from last year as players. So it's always fun to see how it transitioned well this summer. And as I charted games this summer, we shot roughly 50% from three this summer, taking a pretty high volume.
That's impressive, too.
Yeah, and then we can shoot, so that's a skill set. We're not very tall, right? So we're going to have, there's going to be very few times where we're literally just posting somebody up and trying to punch it in the paint. We'll do some different ways to get the ball in there and cut into there. But in terms of, we want to play 84 by 50 by 32 now. It went pretty well Saturday. And that's with Jacksonville, Coach Smith having them ready, and they punched us in the mouth 8-0. But I purposely didn't call a timeout because I had a lot of experience on the floor. Mm-hmm. Will they find their ways through this or not? And they did pretty quickly. And then through some foul trouble, through some coaches' decisions, we went every bit of 8 to deep, even 9 deep there in substantial minutes, right? With some foul trouble, decided to get some younger guys some experience. But then as the game went on, just shuffling some lineups together. So we're really pleased for my veteran guys that returned all the way through to the guys getting their first varsity experience, just how they handled themselves.
Coach, is some of that defense transitioning into offense then? Is it you're pressing, you're creating turnovers, you're getting high volume off of that? Or is a lot of it just coming out of your half-court set and shooting a lot of threes?
It's a little bit of both. Defensively, we have a long way to go, which is exciting, right? Because we played predominantly zone the last few years, probably last 5 years actually, going back to Cole Warner and Thomas Raver's group. And now I think this group, I don't want to sit in zone because I don't think that would generate enough possessions. Mm-hmm. On Saturday, we were over 80 possessions for a high school basketball game. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
So we're going to have turnovers. We had 17, so too many turnovers, but a lot of those were in transition. And I told the guys, I'll grow with them because some of the transitions were, quite frankly, I see their teammate ahead and they're trying to push the basketball. But we just got too close to that in line or that sideline and had some turnovers that way. Mm-hmm. So some of that will get fixed just within our dribble, get to the middle of the floor. And then defensively, we're trying to increase tempo there, and not great, but even through the course of the first quarter through the third quarter, and then we called it off after the third quarter, but even just tagging up right away, first quarter we'd still score and we'd be running back some. As the game went on, recognition in real time, yep, we scored, I got to go find my man. Mm-hmm. We don't want any free passes up the floor. From there, we'll rotate and help the helper behind. Got caught on that some, got some miscommunication some, we got tired some. But from an offensive standpoint, we hit 15 threes, 15 to 31, and that ties the school record for threes made in a game from a 91-92 season, which a coach, you remember where, Coach Cochran. Mm-hmm. That was during the time he was doing a lot of, what I've been told, I remember from talking to Coach Cochran, a lot of Rick Pitino, mm-hmm. press, high-octane, high-tempo offense. And, Coach, we didn't shoot as well as we've been shooting in a practice. Now, so to credit to our guys, and we didn't run, and I was expecting this, we didn't run much of our offense. But some of the simple actions we did make in offense got us some clean looks. But the guys were actually hitting some tougher shots, and I want us to even take as we get more used to playing each other. What's the read when the defense does that, and those types of things. I think we can score a little bit more easily, and that's hard to say when you score 95 points, sure. Right? But that's the ability this team has. Now the big question is, how does it translate when we play a team that they can slow it down? Or they're really physical, and now they're really getting into us, where the game's allowed to be played a certain way. Because mm-hmm. the Jacksonville kids, as you can imagine with Coach Smith, those kids played really, really hard. Mm-hmm. I was impressed with their motor, how long they were able to keep up with us. But you could definitely tell some possessions where we were able to beat them down the floor. And I just had some more fresh guys to run in as well. Mm-hmm. So early December, it's you know how it goes. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out because all the ultimate goals in March. I think our shooting's shown over the last year, it travels well with us. I'm looking forward to, and hopefully even this week, fans will see a big jump defensively mm-hmm. as far as just more communication, being in gaps, being in the right rotation. Because there were times on Saturday, and when you play that pace, it's fast, but there were times literally the ball was driving at us, and our help defender's head was turning the other way on their man without the ball. So even something as simple as that are things we can clean up.
So from a stats perspective, Coach, who played well for you in terms of the scoring statistics? Who led you guys putting the ball in the basket and putting numbers up on the scoreboard? It's a long day. It's a long day of teaching and then coaching on a Monday and then coming in here and talking to us. So that's no apology needed, Coach.
We're talking about the Constitution class, which fires me up. But from a statistical standpoint, we shot 48% from three, took 31, hit 15 of them, and 18 of 29 for two. Obviously, some of the standout individual, James Hughes had 33 points. Oh, wow. But it was on 15 shots.
Yeah, that's efficient.
Yeah, and you know that for the average fan out there, if the number of points, if it's attained in about half that number in field goal attempts, that's a pretty high skilled, very high efficient performance versus 33 points on 28 shot attempts.
Right. That was me back in the day.
And then we had Trent Lewis was with him up there with 16, and then Braden Maple and Cameron Holcomb each had 12. So we had our 4 guys with the most experience in double digits for us. But a guy like Ethan Schneider had 4 points. He made a lot of good things happen. We say to get an offensive rebound, it always takes 2. So Ethan comes to mind, and then Braden Hughes comes to mind, where we don't have many guys that are going to jump over people. We don't have any guys that are 6'6" and just towering above people. So we've really adopted the motto, offensive, because we're going to crash, and we may get burned on it, but that creates another possession, right? But every offensive rebound for us this year will typically take 2, and it was fun this afternoon to show them on film 3 different times where it took 2. Initial effort, got the tip, somebody collected it. You know how this goes invariably. On 2 of those 3, it got kicked out, and we hit a 3. Because how many times have we been on the defensive that we don't collect a rebound, and they hit a dagger 3.
And a dagger is a great word there, because it is just deflating when that happens to you from the other side.
And there was one possession where I showed the kids where you could see that in the Jacksonville body language, because they did everything right, but they didn't collect that rebound. We were able to move the ball quickly. And then some of our other youth, Levi Hunt, Winston Garrett, 2 sophomore guards came in and were able to do some nice things. And we had to get after it defensively, and they both were able to spot up and hit a 3 as teams were spaced and having to help on our drive. And Hank Bowman is a freshman, got some meaningful minutes. Cameron Kaiser and then Preston Blessing. Preston, as a junior, played all JVs, anchoring our JV team. Just does everything you ask of him. So it was awesome to be able to get him some minutes in terms of, and Preston probably hit 2 of the toughest shots all night. So it was about the time the officials had put away their whistle, it seemed like, and he hit 2 tough shots. So it's fun to see, for the guys to see, I mean, because practice is hard, and we practice them really, really hard because of the tempo we want to play. It's nice to see that come to fruition in their minds, to prove the method a little bit on the game floor.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, let's turn our attention. You got a big matchup coming up this weekend. We referenced it a little bit last week on Coach's Corner with the Greensburg Pirates. They opened up 2-0 this past week. They had a 64-45 victory over North Decatur, and then a 51-47 victory at Newcastle. That's 2 impressive road victories to start the season for the Pirates. What are you looking for in this matchup?
It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because on film, they're playing very similar to how we want to play. Right up tempo, a lot of offensive possessions. They are running and jumping in the full court, 3/4 court as you cross half court. They've got some individuals back that are playing really well. Right now, the Bowman kid is really standing out in terms of his offensive production, but he's got plenty of guard play to go with him. And obviously, Jacoby Miller being a junior, he was a known entity last year as a sophomore. He's really played well, and it appears to be healthy as he battled some health issues, I know. So it'll be that typical Greensburg-Batesville matchup, and be fun to be part of on a cold December night.
Absolutely. Well, Coach Rigney is in his 2nd year at the helm of the pirate ship, pun intended. What have you seen out of Colin Rigney coach teams? What are you looking for from a style perspective? You said you think they want to run a little bit this year. Is that typical of what Coach Rigney did last year? Is that a product of him adjusting to his talent as well?
I told Colin this last year because he's a youngster, and I'm so impressed with how he stays calm on the sideline. Right, he never gets too frazzled or frustrated, it looks like. And his kids play hard for him, right? So pretty stoic demeanor, and they're coached well because they can execute things and they're fundamental about it. So from there, my guess is his probably thinking is similar to ours, where I would say there's now Bowman's a pretty strong kid, and they'll get the helmet kid back soon, who's a giant in there for them. But they've also got a lot of perimeter talent. So I think it'll be very similar to the style Colin played when he was a player, in terms of push the basketball, make good reads, and get reversals. And from there, screen, execute on the passing end. Still a very diligent man-to-man defensive team. But they, in the first 2 games anyway, they have definitely extended that up through the 3/4 court, if not sometimes full court.
So if you had to look at a few keys for Batesville to come out with a victory in that ball game this weekend, what would those be?
It's the 2 things I spoke about earlier. We've got to have a jump defensively as far as improvement, and also we got to if we can get our turnovers. Last week we had 17. If we can get turnovers to single digits, I think we become pretty tough to defeat, because that's that many more attempts on rim, right, from an offensive standpoint, and we'll generate more possessions as we crash the offensive board. And right now, a lot of them are self-inflicted. So again, I'll grow through it with them, because in that rivalry game, I know there'll be some turnovers just because we'll get sped up. Greensboro will have some turnovers because they'll get sped up. Both teams are going to go at each other because it's the rival game. But I just want to see what's our composure when things aren't comfortable. We started out down 8-0, but we pretty quickly got that game in hand Saturday night, and we were pretty comfortable the rest of the way in terms of scoreboard pressure. But what's it like when things are uncomfortable? Can we still show that we're comfortable through our composure and still execute and just chip away? Because, yep, we can shoot it, and we want to play high speed, fast paced. But sometimes there will be possessions, especially as we get into conference play, there will be possessions where, yep, we got to grind this possession out. We've got to get 2 or 3 reversals. We're not attacking the front side. Can we do all that and be coordinated about it?
Coach, any final thoughts tonight before we wrap up this first segment of the show? I know you're just single weekend this weekend, next weekend a double. I think you open up EIEC play with Lawrenceburg and then follow that with Southwestern Hanover. 2 pretty good matchups there as well.
Yeah, December will disappear. So as I tell my 8th graders in class, I know they're all praying for snow overnight. I said, don't pray for snow. I want to be in school tomorrow. Because now with the games, I just enjoy the rhythm and routine. And boy, oh boy, can Mother Nature disrupt that pretty quickly. But let's hope everybody stays safe. The people that get paid really, really well will make those decisions as far as what snow looks like and what school looks like. But I would like at least a 2-hour delay, and then we still go to school.
We'll put that request in and see if Mr. Ketchum listens on that. So, Coach Aaron Garrett, as always, a pleasure. Thank you for joining us here on Coach's Corner tonight. Good luck to you and the Bulldogs. We'll take a quick time out, and we'll be back with more of a Coach's Corner brought to you by Ison's Family Pizza on Country 103.9 WRBI, WRBI-TV.com, and the WRBI radio app.
Simmer and sear with confidence using a Maytag freestanding electric range with 5 elements, including a 9-inch and 6-inch dual-choice element, variable broil, and warming center. You can knock out mealtime in no time. The steam clean cycle and fingerprint-resistant stainless steel finish makes it easy to keep clean inside and out. Shop Garing's today. Garing's in Maytag, 316 North Main, Batesville.
When life takes unexpected turns, Moore Law is there to help. Moore Law can help with estate planning, elder law, nursing home planning, criminal defense, family law issues, and civil litigation. They stand behind their clients every step of the way. From protecting loved ones and securing your future to defending your rights, Moore Law's attorneys bring a wealth of knowledge and dedication to every case. Call 812-932-1227. Moore Law, attorneys you can trust.
Back to more Coach's Corner with Rob LaFerry, delivered by Ison's Family Pizza on 103.9 FM. Streaming audio on the WRBI app and with video on our Facebook page and at WRBI-TV.com.
And welcome back to Coach Ron Raver Corner here in Ison's Family Pizza for tonight's episode of Coach's Corner. I'm Rob Moorhead, guest hosting tonight. And joining us at this time is the head football coach and the principal at Milan High School, Coach Ryan Langford. Coach, thanks for joining us tonight. Always good to see you, my friend.
I appreciate the invite to be on another Coach's Corner. I think this is our first one together.
It is, indeed.
So I'm looking forward to it.
We've talked a few times over the years on interviews and such, but never in Coach's Corner. So It's a good opportunity to do that, and I hope your lovely wife, Carly, is listening in tonight. Forever one of my favorite students back in the day.
I know I always have at least one listener.
That's a good thing. Well, let's jump right in, Coach. Let me congratulate you on a fantastic postseason run. Your Indians captured 1A sectional and regional championships. It took the state champs to knock you out in that semi-state run. As for those who may not know, South Putnam went on to capture the state championship on Friday. They had a 55-29 victory over Pioneer. Looking back, what pleases you most about this postseason run for the Indians?
That our team didn't quit. You know, we were at 2-4 at one point. We're starting our off-season meetings and talking to the kids, like, you know, what happened? Why do you think we were able to turn it around? And the bottom line is they didn't quit. They gave some, you know, some of the older players gave some success to our JV team. You know, our JV was 7-2 this year, had some big wins and gave us good looks in practice. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they felt like their success kind of helped propel us through the tournament. Just the resiliency, overcoming adversity that this team did, and our coaches as well, right? After the Eastern Hancock game, we were 2-4, and we set up individual meetings with every kid. And we didn't practice that Monday. We met with the kids and just talked about, you know, the season to this point, the value of each kid, how they're participating and contributing to the program. And I think that made a difference. I think that kind of changed the mentality where the team was kind of splintered at that point. It kind of brought us back together, and luckily our confidence was back up, and we made a nice run there at the end. I wasn't necessarily expecting the tournament run, but also I wasn't surprised.
Right.
I knew we were a good team. We just had to find it, and I think we found it at the right time.
Coach, if I'm not mistaken, that's the second year in a row that it took the 1A state champs to knock you guys out of the tournaments. I believe Providence, after beating you last year, and that been the regional, or was that in the sectional?
That was the regional.
In the regional, and then they went on to win the state championship in 1A. So both years, these last 2 seasons, it's taken the state champs to put you guys out. That's something pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I think our familiarity with Providence, we played them in the regular season last year and in the regional. And so our kids were familiar with them. They weren't intimidated by a private school. They weren't intimidated by the former state champs. I felt like we were really competitive with them in the regional last year. I think that helped us beat them this year in the regional. They were a younger team, but our kids weren't intimidated. We'd been to their stadium before, really familiar with it, and I think that helped us with the regional win.
What did you see this year out of that South Putnam team, and were you surprised that they went on and really won with relative ease over Pioneer up there last Friday? I mean, what did you see out of them? Rainy night, nasty night for football game, the night you guys had to play them in the semi-state on your beautiful artificially turf field, I might add, which is a fantastic facility that you guys have there. What did you see out of that team in that ball game?
They wore us down, and they did the same thing to Pioneer in the state championship. We were it was a close game at halftime, 14-7. We were denied our first trip down into the red zone on the 6-inch line, which was disappointing, but their all-state linebacker made the play that all-state linebackers make.
Yeah.
But I felt like both game plans, ours in the semi-state and Pioneers in the state championship, both games were played very similar. They were close games at halftime. South Putnam played their linemen just one way. So for the most part, their offensive line only plays offense. Their defensive line only plays defense, and I think that helps wear them down. It doesn't hurt that they're pretty big physical kids. I mean, there's not a lot of 1A schools that can line up 6'2" across the board. 230 pounds. Maybe they have one or two of them, but not everywhere. And they get on both sides of the ball, which just wore us down. And you come into that game thinking South Putnam wants to run the ball, and I think they do. But the success they had passing in both games, semi-state and the state championship, is what kind of blew them open, I would say. And to their credit, you couldn't stop one or the other. You couldn't stop the run or the pass and be successful. They did both very efficiently and effectively, which is why they're the state champs.
We mentioned it was a nasty night at that semi-state game. Did not impact your community support one bit. From everything I've heard, everything I've read, pictures I've seen, the Milan community turned out in droves for that. What's that say about your community, and what did that mean to your football team?
Yeah, program? It was amazing, and it meant the world. It kind of started coming home from the regional when the volunteer fire department meets us outside of town and takes us into town. But what the community did to make that event happen, and with the class and hospitality that it did, was truly remarkable. Our athletic director, Susie Fiddler, deserves a lot of credit, and she worked hard last week to make that happen. But the Lions Club, the fire department, the police department, like so many organizations in our community chipped in to help with parking and travel, just traffic logistics of getting people in and out. We sold, I think, 1,650 tickets. By the time you count your workers and players and coaches, I mean, we were probably 1,800, 1,900 people there.
Yeah.
And it went off really smooth. And it was a great night for our community. Unfortunately, it didn't end the way we wanted it to, but it was still a win for the community. It was awesome to see, and our players enjoyed it. Absolutely,
and that's great, and that's the kind of mark you want to leave. We're talking with Milan head football coach Ryan Langford. And Coach, talk about the seniors and the mark they have left now on the Milan football program.
Yeah, I tell every senior class, this team's going to be remembered by you. They don't remember the coaches and all that. They remember who are the seniors on that team. And this senior class definitely left their mark. Again, there was no quit in them. Never got frustrated. They just wanted to win. And again, when we were 2-4, our goal was still to win a sectional. And we kept telling the kids, it's there. Our goal is to be the best team when the sectional starts. And I think we achieved that. We talk about Wyatt Marsh and Micah Norman a lot. They were two-way starters on both sides of the ball. Wyatt returning all-state quarterback. And tremendous playmakers. But I really enjoy seeing the Josh Pettits and the Noah Morgans, some of the kids that aren't always in the headlines, coming out with a great season. And those two kids were a perfect example of kids that just took advantage of their opportunity, hadn't played a lot on Friday nights coming into this season. And Josh Pettit did a great job with us at fullback. Noah Morgan ended up being a two-way starter for us, which I didn't anticipate coming into the season. Just did a tremendous job. And, Brady Alcorn was our senior running back that had an unfortunate season-ending injury in week 4. And you hate that for any senior, but was still a big part of the team. They're on the sidelines and encouraging the team as we went through the playoffs. And it's just a really fun group. Ryan Betts, who didn't get a lot of varsity playing time, but stuck with it for 4 years and was a great teammate, great kid, took his opportunities when he could. A couple of newer players, Caden McClellan and Tim Robbins, same deal. Just loved playing the game, loved being a part of the team and the program, and enjoyed the state run as much as anybody else, and helped us on special teams and stuff. So, this will be a group that's remembered. Obviously, it's been only the second group to do it. So, their picture will go up in the locker room, like join the rest, and I'm really happy for this group of kids. Just an outstanding young group of men, and look forward to what their next steps are and where it takes them.
That's fantastic. Coach, talk a little bit now about your underclassmen and some of those guys who'll be returning next year, and what this experience, seeing the success in the state tournament run, what that means for them moving forward and the future of Milan football.
So they're excited, right? If you looked at us on paper, we were a pretty young team, have a strong incoming senior class. What I've said many times already is, to quote the Jim Collins book, good is the enemy of great. And not to get, whatever happened this past season's over, right? And so we start to move towards next season and what that looks like. We've started our player meetings. I've been emphasizing to our sophomores, incoming juniors, the best teams have a good group of seniors and a good group of juniors. And I don't know that they see themselves as varsity players yet. They're still playing JV. A few of them have played varsity, but starting to change that mentality that you are a varsity player. You need to earn that varsity playing time, and they need your support. And it's okay to be leaders now. Sometimes it's expected, well, that's not my job yet. That's not my job yet. No, it's time to start leading. And so if they're not involved in a winter sport, we want them leading in the weight room. And so there's a lot of excitement, but it's early. Who knows about next year? We want to get this season wrapped up and see what the off season gives us, because if there's one thing I've learned in 18 years, it's the off season can throw you a lot of curveballs, a lot of surprises.
Again, talking with Coach Ryan Lang from the Milan Indians about their regional championship semi-state run this year. You're leading in right where I want to go with this next question. I know it's a year-round calendar for a successful football program. So what is the next step for your program in terms of off-season workouts and expectations? You've already mentioned you've already started those player meetings, postseason player meetings. What's next? And do they take a little time off? I know a lot of guys will be participating in other sports. So what are the expectations for them to stay involved with football?
Yeah, so first step is to get the season wrapped up. Player meetings end tomorrow, and we have our awards program next week. And then if they are involved in a winter sport, we want them to go play a winter sport. We need our athletes at Milan to go play other sports. We talk about it, go play other sports. That's priority number one. If they're not playing a winter sport, we don't push it too hard until after Christmas break. And, we expect to see them in the weight room after school. But we're fortunate that most of our kids have weightlifting class during the school day. So anything they can do after school is just bonus, right? A lot more of conditioning and agility stuff, footwork stuff, where we're, lifting weights during class, and we can get some auxiliary lifts and stuff in after school. And so, it's year round. I tell kids it's like being on a diet. If you stop your diet for 2 months, you gain weight, and if you stop lifting for 2 months, you're going to lose the strength you've built. And so, we ask our kids to use Coach Garrett's quote, somehow, some way, lift 3 days a week. Figure it out. Like I said, most of our kids are in class, but for those kids that are at the career center and stuff, it doesn't work in their schedule. Do it before school, do it after school, but find a way to lift 3 days a week and keep building that strength. And so we try to honor that we want kids to be kids. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think the IHSA has helped us with that much at all. They expect it year round in every sport at every school. Works great at 5 and 6A schools. It's tough at 1 and 2A schools. So we want them to be kids. We want them to I don't feel like we do anything more or anything less than what we need to do to be successful. Don't mistake time spent for work done.
Amen.
And so, we're easing into it.
Well stated, Coach. Talk a little bit. I want to give you a chance to shout out some of your assistant coaches. I know you have a ton in football, but there's some of these top guys that have been with you, and I know that helped contribute to the success of your program this year. Talk about some of those guys.
Yeah, well, it has to start with Kyle Sable and our defensive coordinator. He became our defensive coordinator, I think, 6 seasons ago. And if you look at what kind of helped start our tournament run, it was the play of our defense. Against Providence, our defense played outstanding. And he works hard getting those kids ready. He's also our strength coach, so he's with them during the day and at practice after school, which sounds ideal, but sometimes it's almost too much, you know. And then Jeff Sharp has been with me since the beginning. We're good friends, and we enjoyed the ride together. So many of our coaches work, he's running a campaign. Coach Carpenter, a young assistant for us, he's not only is he a young teacher, which is a tough job. He was also working on wedding plans, building a house, while also coaching football.
Wow.
Coach Beeler, who's been with us, I think 12 seasons now. I would put our coaching staff against anybody. They work. I ask them to work 7 days a week. Saturday morning we're finishing up Friday night and prepping for the next game, and Sunday night we're meeting at my house. So it's a 7-day-a-week job. Most of them are doing it unpaid. Most of them don't have a player on the team, but a lot of them played my own football. And so I enjoy that. I love it seeing our former players like Matt McHugh and Sam Simpkins coming back and helping. Mike Brandis has been there a long time. Coach Pennington, he's the OG. He was around when I was playing.
Yep.
So he's there on Friday nights helping us fix equipment. There's so many. Brad Voss doesn't coach, but helps us with all our film and stats. Coach Garrett and I were talking about it off air before I came on. It is amazing the group of people that it takes to make a season successful and just make it function. And people don't realize, ordering plaques, finding the chain gang. What do you got to do for film? Who does your stats? Who puts stats in max preps? The list goes on and on. Who does your laundry? Who fixes the jersey that's torn? The list goes on and on and on. And I'm very fortunate I have a great staff of people that help us do that at Milan Football.
Coach, before we go here, and we got to wrap up shortly, but I got to ask you, what was it like to be coaching 2 young men that had the Langford last name on the back of their jersey as well, and then to experience as a father and a coach with your 2 sons, the success you had to be really, really cool.
It's very enjoyable. It makes the time at home easier, right, when you're winning. You probably experienced that as a coach, coaching your players, and it truly takes a family effort to make it happen. And being able to experience it with my boys is fantastic. Trenton was able to come down from Purdue for the regional game, which made it even more special.
Absolutely.
So it's truly a family event. For 3 months we've been going at it, including Carly, of making this season happen. Yep. And it's time to take a deep breath and relax. But getting to experience, you hope that you can coach and maintain your relationship with your son, right? And we try to leave football at school and be a family at home. But to do it and have some success as well and have them both on the field was a really special year.
Well, Coach, congratulations on a fantastic run in the state tournament, regional championship, and you guys earned it. You worked hard for it, and you guys did it the right way with class, and want to congratulate you and also thank you for taking time to join us here on Coach's Corner tonight.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's head coach Ryan Langford of the Milan Indian football program. We'll take a quick time out. Be back with more of Coach's Corner, brought to you by Ison's Family Pizza on Country 103.9 WRBI, WRBI-TV.com, and the WRBI radio app.
When it comes to you and your family's health, finding a primary care provider you can trust makes all the difference. At Margaret Mary Health, our providers aren't just here for you when you're sick. They're dedicated to being your long-term partners in health. If you're looking for a medical provider to help keep your family well, give us a call or visit us online. Our primary care providers are accepting new patients in Batesville, Brookville, Osgood, and Milan. Margaret Mary Health. Generations of care.
It's back. Our delicious chicken bruschetta pizza is back. Cecil here. I'm interrupting this commercial for some important news. Our operating hours are changing to better serve our customers and to better take care of our team members. We will be closing at 8 p.m. Sunday through Thursday. That's right, our new hours are Sunday through Thursday from 10:30 a.m. to 8 p.m., then Friday and Saturday 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. Come let us serve you. LicensedFamilyPizza.com, 812-933-0333, or 117 East George Street, downtown Batesville.
Coach's Corner with Rob LaFerry continues. Watch us live on WRBI-TV.com or on our Facebook page. And hear us live on the WRBI app and 103.9 FM. WRBI.
Welcome back to Coach Ron Raver Corner inside of Ison's Family Pizza for this week's episode of Coach's Corner here on WRBI. I'm guest hosting this evening. My name is Rob Moorhead, and joining me at this time is the head boys basketball coach at Milan High School, Coach Matt Pickerel. And Coach Pickerel, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. You heard Coach Langferman right before you, and let's start with this. The success of the football program has obviously delayed the start of basketball season by a couple of weeks, so you're now set to tip off on Wednesday, December 10th at East Central. How many of your players were involved in the football run, Coach?
About 10. We had 6 guys in while they were still playing, so we had 16 in the gym today, so that's probably what we'll have going forward.
Very good, and probably the first day you've had all 16 together. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
So as you look at this extra few days you've had to prepare, if my research is correct, after that first Wednesday game, you're going to go on a stretch of 5 games in an 8-day period. So although you may have a little bit of extra time from when most seasons started, you're only going to have 10 or 12 days with your guys before you go on a pretty long run of games.
Yeah, we're definitely a little bit behind the 8 ball. Obviously, it's great to see the football team do as well as they did, and did some awesome things, made history, represented the school in a great way. So, really proud for those guys and the success they had. But we've got to get to work now, and we're kind of behind in terms of experience and practice, and so we're going to have to really catch up. We get to get a little bit ahead on scouting and seeing the other teams, but as far as our guys and getting our stuff installed and getting them in basketball shape, we've definitely got some work in front of us.
So, Coach, you're coming off a 12-13 season that saw your Indians put together a 5-game winning streak toward the end of the season, advancing all the way to the sectional championship game. What did you see out of last year's group in that stretch run that you hope will carry over for this year's team?
Confidence. That's kind of the name of the game with the guys that we have is when they're confident in what they're doing, then they're a much better team than if they're unsure of themselves. We got healthy at the end of the year. Gabe Brearley came back. He'd been out all year with a broken foot. So when he came back and we had a little bit more of our starters together, the guys really gained confidence because Gabe's a great athlete, good ball player. He started every year at the varsity level. So when he came back, that added a little bit of a boost of confidence to the rest of the guys of, we're a little bit more whole now, so we can kind of fill in our spots and do our roles, and, we found some good success there at the end.
Talk about some of the guys you're going to be counting on to go along with Gabe in the success you're hoping to have this year on the basketball floor.
Yeah, Gabe will be back for us. We'll have Mike and Norman. The same boat as Gabe, has been a starter from day one as a freshman. Ethan Clark's a returning varsity starter. Ben Knowlton, Josh Pettit, Grant Langferman's back. He played 5 games last year, then had a torn shoulder and had surgery, so he'll be back. And we have a pretty good returning core, but they've not played a lot together in the last year, not as a whole unit. We only had a couple of games over the summer too, where we had everybody and could kind of play together and have our full roster and figure things out. So getting all of those guys together and working as one unit is going to be our primary focus here in the early season.
And Coach, I was going to ask you, do you look ahead and begin preparing for East Central, or are you really just preparing the Milan Indians right now, regardless of who the opponent is?
Yeah, in practice, I'm just preparing the guys right now. Obviously, as a coaching staff, we've been working on scouting, and East Central's not played yet. We'll see them Saturday at Whiteland, but it's just about us. Regardless of how much scouting you have to do or who you're going to play, so much of basketball is about getting yourself prepared. Mm-hmm. And if you go out and play the style that you want to play and you execute the things that you're focusing on, it's important to have a good scouting report and know what you're going up against and be prepared for that. But if I had to pick, I'd always choose to have ourselves ready to play more so than a great scouting report.
And I guess with that stretch of 5 games in 8 days, it is more important to focus on yourselves because your opponent is going to be changing pretty rapidly, and you're not going to have a lot of time in between each game to prep something different for a new opponent.
Right. It feels like you're in the state tournament right off the bat, to where you're just going to be one game after the next, quick turnarounds, and you got to have things ready to go. So we'll have all that stuff ready as coaches, and we'll be ready to get it to the guys. But just more importantly, just getting them in basketball shape, finding confidence in their shots, and kind of getting them out of football shape. And it's totally different. They're in shape. They've been lifting weights. They're strong and everything. But it's a totally different game that you got to play out on the floor.
Yeah.
So going to try to work them back into that, and also getting them to work together as a unit, because they've not played together very much. So the more we can do that, we'll get better on both sides of the ball, and that's where we're focusing right now.
The cardiovascular is a little different when you're not taking a break after every 10 or 12 seconds to huddle up. When you got to keep going play after play, that shape is a little bit different for basketball.
Yeah, and we've got some good athletes too. We're going to try to play above the rim a little bit with some of the guys that we've got, and we'll have more height with having everybody healthy. So hopefully it'll be a little bit different team than we had last year. Last year we had to kind of space things out, play with pace, shoot a lot of threes, but give a little bit different look this year.
Well, Coach, after that 8-day stretch, and this is going to sound like a long way away to our listeners, but it's not. It's going to come very quickly. After that 8-day stretch, you're going to participate in a tournament at Morristown on December 27th. Talk about the field for that tournament.
Yeah, we were talking about that tonight at practice. We're not exactly sure of who we're going to be playing up there. So that's obviously on the schedule for after Christmas, but when you go to something like that, you got to make sure you're ready to play. You can't get off the bus and be asleep, and the guys have got to be ready to go. It's just one of those things. Just get off the bus, and you're playing who you're playing, and you better be ready to get after it. So obviously, as we figure out the schedule for that, we'll prepare for it and get ready to go. But I think it's just a good opportunity to get out of our comfort zone and go play in a little bit different area, and then obviously that comes back and turns right into the county tournament too. So that'll be good.
We're talking to head coach Matt Pickerel of the Milan Indians boys basketball program. Coach, I'm sure you have some players stepping into new leadership roles this year. Who are you counting on in that regard?
Being a primary ball handler, Ethan Clark's going to have to step into that role. He played off the ball a lot last year and was more of a shooter. Now he's going to have to be a combo guard. He's going to have to handle it. He's going to have to shoot it. He's going to have to be a leader out there and talk and, get the defense in the right places, get the offensive set. Mike and Norman's going to be kind of the same way, to where he's not a traditional point, but he's going to handle the ball a lot. He's going to bring it up in transition a lot. So just getting him used to that and getting the other guys, to kind of get in line with that. And, these guys are running the point for us, and we've all got spots to get to, and we're going to run the offense and transition. We're going to try to get up and down the floor as quick as we can.
Coach, in the early season here, while you're waiting for your season to get started, have you been able to take in any high school basketball games anywhere around the area? And if so, any surprises that you've seen so far in area competition?
Yeah, we've got out and scouted a little bit. We went to Southwestern Shelby the first night and saw them play Edinburgh, obviously preparing for Edinburgh. And then on this past Saturday, we went and watched Waldron, and then after that we went and watched South Decatur at Trinity. Not a whole lot of surprises. We were fairly familiar with those teams from last year. We saw them over the summer as well. But, yeah, it was definitely good to get in the gym and get a good scout on some people and get some film. And, obviously we hadn't – at that point, I've not even had all my guys together. So to go out and, be able to see those games and get ready, it's on one hand, it's good to get a little bit ahead on your scouting, but it's also kind of like, man, I got to get my stuff going.
Yeah, so, kind of that anxiety builds up a little bit, doesn't it, when you start feeling like you're a little bit behind the 8 ball. I can understand that. Talk about the guys joining you on the sidelines this year. Any changes in your coaching staff? Do you bring back the same group? And
it'll be
if so, group. For our listeners, they may not know who those guys are. So talk about who's helping you.
Blake Davis is a JV coach. He's been there for 3 years. This will be his 3rd season with me. He's working at the school, so I work in the elementary school. He works in the high school. So it's kind of good to have a coach over there in the high school, with the guys during the day that can communicate things and kind of check in with them. But he does a really nice job in his role. And then Brad Voss fills in as a varsity assistant, JV assistant, also coaches middle school team for us. So very busy. He's just been working with the football team, doing their film and stats and stuff. And so now he's jumping right in with us. And so he's very busy, but he does a great job for us. And, we're a smaller coaching staff. We don't have a ton of assistants, but we, work together really well. We try to, kind of divvy things up and, everybody knows their role and try to get things prepared. But I'm really glad to have those guys with me.
Coach, what have you seen when you look around the area? Who do you expect to be some of the top teams in the ORVC and then also in your sectional this year as you kind of look ahead with your crystal ball?
Yeah, just from the conference standpoint, South Ripley and Hanover are obviously going to be at the top of the conference. We're trying to get up there in that weight class, but you obviously got to get up there and prove it. So that's who I think will be at the top. And like I said, we're going to be working hard every day that's our goal, to get up there and be right in the mix with them guys. Also in the sectional, Trinity is going to be pretty good. Got 2 really good scorers. Hauser, obviously, very, very good team. I thought they were one of the best 1A teams in the state last year. Having to play those guys and just seeing how complete they are. It's a very, very good ball team, very well coached. And they still brought a lot back. They graduated some guys, but they've got a good returning group coming back, and they spend a lot of time on basketball over there, and they play a lot. So we're going to have to catch up. There's no doubt that we're behind teams like that have been in the gym for months getting ready and preparing. So we're going to have to catch up, but those are the guys we're trying to get to.
Very good. Well, Coach, any final thoughts for Indians basketball fans that you point toward next Wednesday's opener with East Central?
Just come out and get in the gym. We don't have very many home games. We only have 7 this year. So kind of an unbalanced schedule. But the home games we have, we're trying to get good crowds there. We want it to be a good environment for the guys. We want to make it something memorable for them. So for the fans, just show up, come and support the team, and you won't leave disappointed. We're going to work hard every game. I don't want anybody ever leaving the gym and thinking that, we're not bought in, we're not giving everything we've got. So if the fans show up, they're going to get to see a good product.
Matt Pickerel, thanks for your time tonight. Appreciate you joining us here on Coach's Corner. Good luck to you and the Indians this season. Let's take a quick timeout. We'll be back with more of Coach's Corner, brought to you by Ison's Family Pizza on Country 103.9 WRBI, WRBI-TV.com, and the WRBI radio app.
In case you hadn't heard, Scripture Auto in Greensburg is now a part of Whitewater Motors.
If you have an issue down the road, you can call Jamie Scripture or Dave Scripture. Try that at some of the bigger places. It's just customer service. We've been taking care of people for a decade. That's our biggest thing. We treat them like family, always have. Rest assured, Dave Scripture and myself, Jamie Scripture, are still here running the business. So that's the big thing.
Visit them online at whitewatergreensburg.com.
Hey football fans, while Ivy Tech Community College doesn't have a football team, what it does have is your play to a great future. Earn a short-term certificate to quickly get into a high-wage, high-demand career. Earn your associate degree in a wide variety of programs for a more affordable transfer to a bachelor's degree. Classes are offered in person and online at the Lawrenceburg and Batesville locations. For more information, email r11express@ivytech.edu.
Coach's Corner with Rob LaFerry continues. Watch us live on WRBI-TV.com or on our Facebook page, and hear us live on the WRBI app and 103.9 FM. WRBI.
Welcome back to the Coach Ron Raver Corner here in Ison's Family Pizza for tonight's episode of Coach's Corner here on WRBI. I'm Rob Moorhead, guest hosting this evening, joined at this time by the head coach of the South Ripley Raiders boys basketball team, Coach Sevy Beach. Thanks for joining us tonight, Coach Beach.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate being here.
Coach, some of our listeners may not know you actually had to miss the turkey shootout last week, the big opening season game against the Jacksonville Eagles, but I think it was for a pretty good reason. Tell our listeners what was going on with the Beach family.
Yeah, we, I think that's the first game I've missed in my coaching career, whether it was assistant or head coach, but I guess it was for a pretty good reason. Our twin daughters showed up Tuesday afternoon at about 4 or 4:30 in the afternoon. So Elaine and I are truly blessed with 4 great kiddos, amazing family. Elena was a rock star Tuesday. I worked pretty hard, but I don't know if I did quite as much as she did. But all 3, Harper, Hallie, and Elena did amazing. We're home and everybody's healthy. That's the most important. But exciting day.
Absolutely. Coach, congratulations to you and Elena, first of all. And I'm sure the Beach Boys at home are excited to have the little sisters now to come home to. And I know that's got to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of excitement in our house. Definitely no no more dull moments. But the boys, Henry and Owen, they love them. They love to sit and hold each girl, and they're super excited. They've actually been a pretty good help so far. So we'll see how the whole sibling thing with that goes as they get older.
It'll work out just fine, Coach. Those boys are going to take care of those girls. Tell me this, be honest, Coach. Did you watch the game from the hospital?
100%. Yes. I may have sent a few text messages to a couple assistants that were sitting at the end of the bench saying, go relay this to the guys, but couldn't completely turn the juices off. But,
sure.
Luckily we got a couple hour window there where I could get things set up and still watch the game. So awesome afternoon and evening.
Well, let's talk about your Raiders. They went out, got a 75-43 victory over Jacksonville. I know you watched that, and I'm sure you've watched the tape since then. So what stood out about the performance of the Raiders?
Really the defensive effort, getting after it. Defensively, we've got a long ways to go. We can put the ball in the basket. Knock on wood, we can continue to do that. But defensively, we've got a long ways to go and improve. And just having that foundation of playing hard, and having multiple efforts on that end is a great place to start. So we can get out and, get up and down and run in transition. That's going to be a strong suit for us. But really happy to see that and that generate into some easy baskets for us offensively. Getting into half-court play, just the sharing of the basketball. And the ball just never stopped. It just kept popping and moving around the perimeter. I had multiple text messages and phone calls from people saying, how awesome it was to see that guys were passing up, what you thought was a good or great shot for an even better one. Looking at our stats here, we're averaging right around 21, 22 assists a game. So we're assisting on the vast majority of our baskets. And that's a great thing to see. That's something that we've, preached in our 12 or so practices, 13 practices in our scrimmage coming into the turkey shootout of, what we graduated last year with that senior class and the firepower that it was. This year we've got guys that have been that same type of player, as those guys. But this year's group is going to be able to do things by committee, in such different ways where it could be really, really fun to see that. And it was awesome to see that carry over into a game setting for the boys, and that will obviously help continue the growing of the buy-in and whatnot across the board.
We're talking to head coach Sevy Beach, the South Ripley Raiders boys basketball program. Coach, you followed up that Tuesday night win. Heading into Rising Sun on Saturday, came away with a 65-34 victory over the Shiners. Talk about who played well for you in that matchup.
Yeah, offensively, Eli Gilpin followed up a strong defensive effort on Tuesday against Jack with a strong offensive effort on Saturday. I think he hit 6 threes Saturday, scored 22 points. Blake Gunner, another sophomore, had 15 points for us. So spread it out, kind of flip the script. Bryson Sipples, our one lone senior, quietly gets a lot of things done. And, he was brought at, I think, 8 and 9 points or 9 and 10 both nights. So he quietly does his thing, which is great. Have another glue guy right there for us that we can really count in and night out. Saturday night, I got to throw this in there. It was a learning experience for us. We kind of showed up and we weren't mentally really ready to go from the start like we were Tuesday. I could tell, even though not being there in person Tuesday, but just the atmosphere of the turkey shootout and there not being an open seat in the building on Tuesday. And then going on the road at Rising Sun, we showed our youth a little bit there, and we just weren't mentally as locked in as what we needed to be from the get-go. And it kind of took us 2 quarters to get to that point, and we scored as many in the third as what we did in the first 2. So coaching staff, we got some ammunition there to throw at them, and we talked about that in film today, and just the importance of you've got to bring it physically and mentally every single day. So a lot of positives, but again, the mental aspect of it you've got to bring as well.
Coach, talk about how well Drew Volts has played for you. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he had 36 in the opener against Jacksonville, and just a guy that was extremely hard to stop in that ball game.
Yeah, Drew is the ultimate competitor, just is fierce. He's not going to let somebody, beat him in any way possible. And he scored 36, hit 6 threes, and that's kind of been the thing where in the past people were picking their poison and they were going to, say, hey, see if he can beat us from the outside. And he really has worked on that outside shot in the offseason, and it showed on night one. You know, and obviously, you know, he can, if guys aren't getting out and running the floor, he's going to beat them down the floor with the ball. You know, he's just super quick, extremely high basketball IQ, great passer, very unselfish. He knows, you know, like he could be the guy and he could score at that high volume night in and night out. But he's also, you know, the good enough and type of kid where he knows that he's got really good players around him and he doesn't have to do that every single night, and that he can get guys involved and he can trust his teammates, you know, to help him get us where we all want to go, which is obviously, you know, cutting down some nets in March, which is what we're working for. And we've got a long way to get there, but, you know, we've got a good group of guys that show up and they play extremely hard. So it's a great foundation.
Coach, let's move ahead to this week. It's a one-game week for you, and we'll get to your opponent in a minute, but a very special weekend coming up on Saturday night as the Raiders will host North Decatur in Tyson Auditorium. Talk about what it means to the Raiders to be playing in the former home of the Raiders for the first time in 17 years.
Yeah, just the atmosphere and buzz, you know, about this night that's coming this weekend is just been really cool to be a part of, and just kind of also sit back and watch at the same time. I've been in and out of Tyson for several small events and whatnot here and there, but I've never been in it for a game setting. You know, you hear all these stories and whatnot. You know, some previous coaches that I talk to on a regular basis, and, you know, you hear about their foot stomping on the sidelines and the different fans that sit along the sidelines and you know, exchange their banters with referees and coaches, and just the Hoosier hysteria type stories you hear. It's been really cool. I'm really excited to get back in there and get these guys to be a part of that history. You know, and the things that have been put into it behind the scenes of, you know, improvements of the floor and all of that, and everybody, you know, you and our administration and Jeff Cornett and the people at Tyson and the amount of work that's going into it. You know, it's going to be awesome to see all that pay off this weekend. Really glad the weather's coming in here a couple of days in advance, so,
right?
So that we can be
get
there.
that in and out of here.
Yeah. So, you know, the boys are excited. We're going to go over there and practice a couple times this week. Like you said, first time in 17 years. I think 2008. You know, was the last varsity game played in there. So, just trying to get the guys to understand that history, you know, is one thing. High school guys are like, oh, yeah, coach, whatever, just let us go play the game, you know, and let's have some fun. But bringing some people back in from the past that can share those experiences, you know, like Coach Swingle got to play games in there on some really good teams. You've been in and talked to the guys and shared multiple experiences. So it's really cool to let these guys have that experience and it be in their hometown.
Talking to head coach Sevy Beach of the South Ripley Raiders boys basketball program. Raiders will play North Decatur this Saturday night in Tyson Auditorium, and want to invite the fans to come out for that. We're going to be honoring the past head coaches who coached South Ripley teams in Tyson. I think of the 8, 5 of them are able to be there. It's going to be exciting to have those guys back in town as well.
Yeah, you know, I've not been able to meet all those guys that are going to be there yet, so I'm excited to meet them and hopefully get a chance to exchange a few stories, you know, as the night gets going and whatnot, and hopefully we can show up and play well, and be interested to hear some of their thoughts afterwards. You know how coaches' conversations
absolutely
go.
They've always got opinions, right, Coach?
Always.
Let's talk about the Chargers. They're 0-1 after a loss at Greensburg to start the season, but you'll probably get a chance to see them Friday night against South Decatur. What do you know about Coach PJ Metz's team at North this year?
Yeah, PJ was you know, great guy. I love talking to PJ, and you know, he's really excited about this opportunity for his guys as well. And his guys are always well prepared, play extremely hard. You know, they bring that football level of physicality to their games. They've got some athleticism, some length, got a good point guard in the Rennekamp kid. You know, he's got some experience. He's super quick. You know, so dove into their film a little bit today, in between classes, of course, with the green.
Thanks for clarifying that, Coach. I appreciate that.
But we will definitely see them Friday night against South Decatur. So, and that'll be a great atmosphere as well. You know, hopefully South Decatur can wear them down a little bit for us on Friday night, and that'll help us on Saturday. But as you know, as Coach Garrett was saying earlier, I think a lot of us in the area we've got teams where playing fast and getting up and down and more possessions benefits our groups. Our Coach Garrett and I drive in talking about, getting up around 80 possessions a game. We've been just below that, in the 70 to 80 range. So, we're wanting to do that, shooting a lot more threes. We're hovering around that 40% range as a team as well. So getting up and down, I think that plays into our advantage with North Decatur coming in on Saturday. I think they don't want to necessarily play as slow, but I don't know if they want to play quite that fast either. Hopefully we can, improve our defense from our first 2 games and turn that into some more possessions and easy baskets for us on Saturday.
Coach, coming up on the top of the hour, got to wrap up here, but any final comments you'd like to pass along to Raider fans about this special event on Saturday night?
Yeah, ticket sales, we're super excited. Ticket sales start tomorrow at school. They'll be at the high school front office. So stop by, get those. We've got some Tyson shirts as well that have been on sale. We've got a handful of those left. We'll be selling those the rest of this week and Saturday at the game. But you could probably clarify a little bit for me, but with those ticket sales and South Ripley passes, I think we still need to get those.
South Ripley fans will be admitted with their season ticket. They will not need to get a special ticket for that. So just bring your season ticket to Tyson, and also our student fans, as always, will be able to be admitted without a ticket. They're admitted free of charge for our students as we do at our regular home games.
Yep, that's awesome. We had a tremendous, I wish I could have been there. I'll have to talk to my wife next time about planning things out on a better day. But seeing the game, the turkey shootout game on Tuesday last week, we had an outstanding crowd. Our student section basically took up that one whole end down there. So if we could duplicate that on Saturday night in the atmosphere of what Tyson is already, I think that would just be amazing to replicate. So hopefully Raider fans, we can see everybody on Saturday night.
It's going to be a lot of fun, Coach, and we'll be there as well. Covered it on WRBI, so we're looking forward to that. And a couple of Raider alums, myself and Rob LaFerry, will have the call on that one, so we're looking forward to a fun night. So, Coach Sevy Beach, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Good luck to you and the Raiders this weekend and all season long. And that's going to wrap it up here for us tonight. What a great episode of Coach's Corner this has been this evening. Our thanks to Aaron Garrett, Ryan Langford, and Matt Pickerel, and Coach Sevy Beach for joining us. Rob LaFerry will be back for next week's edition of Coach's Corner, brought to you by Ison's Family Pizza. Between now and then, we have a great lineup of sports for you on WRBI. Tonight, as soon as we close, we'll be joining the Indiana Pacers in progress as they take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Tomorrow night, it's girls basketball action for you, as the South Ripley Raiders will host the North Decatur Chargers, airtime at 7:15. On Wednesday night, the Pacers will be taking on the Denver Nuggets, airtime at 7 o'clock. On Thursday, it's another girls basketball matchup between the Batesville Bulldogs and Franklin County Wildcats with airtime at 7:15. On Friday, we'll have coverage of the big boys basketball matchup between the Batesville Bulldogs and Greensburg Pirates with action beginning at 7:15. And then we'll catch the Indiana Pacers taking on the Chicago Bulls in progress. Saturday's a big day. In the afternoon, we'll bring you the girls basketball game between the Batesville Bulldogs and Lawrenceburg Tigers with airtime at 1:15. And then, as we just mentioned, on Saturday night, we will cover the return to Tyson Auditorium for boys basketball matchup between the South Ripley Raiders and the North Decatur Chargers, airtime at 7:15. That will do it from here. Thank you so much to our on-site engineer, Annie Nunley, as well as Brent Lee for running the board back in the studio. And as always, thank you to Ison's Family Pizza. Let's try that again. Ison's Family Pizza for hosting Coach's Corner. Until next time, this is Rob Moorhead saying thank you so much for listening. Have a fantastic week, everyone.
Listen Monday nights at 6 for Coach's Corner with Rob LaFerry, live from Ison's Family Pizza. Come check out the show in person or listen on 103.9 FM or the WRBI app. And now you can also watch the show happen live at WRBI-TV.com or on our Facebook page. From Southeastern Indiana's local sports voice, WRBI Batesville, Greensburg, Brookville, Versailles.